in the UK. I do not have tea with me today because it is too hot. I'm drinking water, I'm afraid. But the idea is that we have kind of 30 minutes to drink a tea, go through some Flourish topics, give you some ideas, and lots of great stuff to get on with. So welcome to today's tea break on the topic of Olympics. The Olympics are coming up, kind of a very difficult topic, I would say, at the moment with people in Japan kind of being against them happening, but it does look like they are happening. And so we have put together a couple of different visualization ideas of how you could approach the Olympics with Flourish. So we're going to be looking at all the visualizations that you can see on my screen right now today during this session. But first, I'm going to give you a little introduction as to what tea breaks are and all the other things we're going to be looking at. So we have a countdown visualization here, which you can create really easy since about a week or two with one of our new templates. We're going to be creating a stacked bar, visualizing some different medals won in different countries. We're going to create a cards visualization to visualize different athletes, as well as a bar chart race to show rankings over time. And then we also have a premium template to show you today, which is our draw the line, which I will show towards the end, as well as a little surprise, a sneak peek to a new template that is coming soon. So let's get started. What are tea breaks? Welcome. This is an ongoing fortnightly series. So every 2 weeks, me or one of the colleagues that you can see over here from Flourish, I'm Luisa, by the way, the blue one here in the middle, will walk you through a Flourish topic that you can kind of dip in or out of as you would like. This one is about Olympics. A different one might be specifically about a certain template, maybe a combination of different things you can do with maps or something like that. So you can always check out our schedule, which we have linked in the slides, and we will also make the recordings available on YouTube. And you can access the slides and data sets from our webinar page. And with me in the chat today, we have Ilyas, who will be happy to answer any questions that already come up during the session. So feel free to message him there and he will try and answer them. And otherwise, maybe if I have a moment at the end, I'll also have a quick look at the chat and see if there's anything that I can pick up. So yeah, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. We're really happy to have you. And let's get started with Olympics. Okay, so the first template that we're going to look at is our countdown template. As I mentioned before, this is a brand new template, and it's a very fitting one when it comes to counting down to the Olympics, as we're doing in this example. I created this one yesterday and embedded it as a GIF in my slides. So I think we're now down to 37 days, but I'm going to show you how to create your own. So I'm just going to jump over to the editor. I have the blog post on the topic open, which we published a week or two ago, where you can see some other examples and also a more detailed write down of the steps to recreate. But I'm just going to jump into the editor by clicking sign in here on the homepage. So Flourish is a web-based tool. You'll never have to download any software or anything like that. You can access everything from the browser. And I'm just going to click on new visualization. This is where you always create a new visual and then you're taken through to our template chooser, which is the library of charts. And I'm just going to scroll down until I hit the countdown. So even though you might be familiar with this page already, you probably won't have noticed these two, or maybe you already have, but they're fairly new. So I just want to say it's always worth coming and having a look and seeing if there's any new templates there for you. And there are two. So we're going to get started with our countdown here. There are two starting points that you can choose from. I'm going to choose the one with the Olympic rings, as that is very fitting for today's topic. And as soon as you click on a starting point, it will take that starting point, kind of the thumbnail that you see, and it will copy it into your profile. And now it belongs to you, and any of the settings that you change, those will be saved in your copy. So I'm just going to start by giving mine a title. my Olympic countdown. And here we have now the option to enter a date. So let's say we change it from the 7th month, so July to August, just as a test. Now we can see that that will adjust the time that we're counting down to straight away. So it's really simple. All you have to do is enter the day, the month, and the year. And then you can also include a specific time. So maybe I could have looked up when the opening ceremony exactly is and entered that. But I did not do that. So we just have the day now in this example. And then you have two options to choose from when it comes to the content settings. You have a countdown format, auto or custom. And auto will just take that very simple countdown and it will display it in the fonts and colors that you've chosen, which you can do in your layout settings here. Or if you have a theme, it will appear in your colors and fonts straight away. I'll show you that in a minute. But if you select custom, you have the option to customize the way that it displays even more. So by selecting custom, you can do things like tweak the format. So maybe I want only the days and the hours, then I can just remove those two last ones and click out again. And now I have just 37 days and 8 hours. You can use the curly brackets to pull through information. So the M is minutes. So maybe if I am in a non-English speaking country, I would want to replace that with something else. So I'll just do that with German and so on and so forth. So you can use the curly brackets to pull through one of the numbers. So the hours, the days, the minutes, the seconds, and then you can customize it even more by adding HTML. So here we're adding an image, which we just grabbed from Wikipedia, and it's really just this image of the rings that we also just saw. So you can just copy that image address and then embed that as an image in an image tag here. If you're not familiar with HTML, we also have a helpful help doc on the topic of how to use custom HTML and CSS in various different Flourish templates. So I recommend checking that out as well. And just to jump back quickly and show you what this might look like if you do have a theme. So you might have a theme if you are in an enterprise or business company setup, then it's possible that you have the option here to select a theme. So I'm just going to select one from Yahoo Finance Lite. And now we can see that their logo and their fonts and their colors are all automatically pulled through. And so that should be possible within just a click to create a really nice countdown. And you can also obviously add a header and a footer in the header and footer settings. This is my type. So it's really a nice little template. Whenever you're ready to embed it, you can just grab it, the link, publish it, and grab the embed code to embed in your CMS or on your website. You can also choose from different options in the settings. So we have a script option and an iframe option, for example, and you can tweak that even more. I'm just going to unpublish this one again for now because I don't need to publish it. But that is a quick introduction to the countdown. And since we have a lot of different templates to get through today, I'm just going to continue on to the next one and let you explore this in your own time. And we've also added some links in the slides. So the next one is also really straightforward, and we already saw it when we were browsing the template chooser earlier, but basically it is kind of similar to the countdown in the sense that it's visualizing numbers, but in this case, instead of visualizing counting down to a certain date, you're ticking up to a certain number. So again, I just click new visualization, and then I have the option to find the number ticker here. And again, we have two different options to visualize. So we have one that is custom and one simple. And it's just the same as we just saw in the countdown and number ticker. The custom allows you to add HTML, so you can also use coloring. And here with the curly brackets, instead of pulling through the minutes or seconds, you're pulling through the number itself. So if I would change this to simple, it's just the number that I enter here. But if I go to custom, I can really kind of customize whatever I want through custom HTML. So in our example, the swiping is not easy. In our example here, we got the data from, I'm just gonna jump into this page to show you. It was this page called olympedia.org. They have lots of different statistics around Olympics, and I just picked out one of the numbers that I found here that I found interesting. So the number of athletes that have participated in the Olympics, I think since the beginning of the Olympics. But there's lots more, and we're going to be exploring these statistics some more in the next examples. Okay, then, moving on to a little bit less straightforward of an example, just because the number ticker and countdown are some of the easiest templates that we have on offer at the moment. But definitely one of our core templates is our line bar and pie template. So you can do lots of different chart types with this template. As you can see here, a stacked bar chart, but in the same template, you can make line charts, you can make pie charts, you can make stream graphs, you can make area charts, and you can also make use of animations between those different types in Flourish Stories. I'm not going to get into Flourish Stories in depth today, but we also have previous recordings of webinars that you can explore on the webinar page where we talk about stories in detail. But in this case, this is our stacked bar chart. I'm just going to show it to you in a new tab here. We have lots of different countries listed, and we have the option to kind of filter out certain categories. So in this case, we're visualizing the different medals, and then we can also filter and find a certain country. And now we're going to walk through the steps to create this, really from the beginning, also kind of sourcing the data and getting that into Flourish and all of that. So we're making use of what we call a row filter, and then, allowing you to kind of select a country, and I'll show you how to do that as well. But first, let's get some data. I'm going to be using the Olympedia page again. And I thought I wanted to do something a little bit fun for this webinar. So I'm going to be showing you how to scrape data from any page to a Google Sheet and then pull that into Flourish with our live CSV feature, because it's really extremely useful. It allows you to collaborate with your colleagues, and it allows you to use the same data for multiple visuals, and it allows you to scrape data in the first place, which is extremely useful if there's no download data option. So I'm just going to open our data here. We're going to be using this table on this page. So it's just a table of medals by country. We have a long list of countries, also kind of historical countries that we don't have today anymore, and the number of gold, silver, and bronze, as well as the total number. So I'm just going to start by grabbing that link and then opening a new Google Sheet, because I want to kind of pull that table into a Google Sheet. So you can do that by typing sheet new or sheets new into your browser, and then a new Google Sheet will magically appear. Top trick. And then we're going to use something called import HTML. So if I go back to my slides, we could already see it there. This is the formula that you will want to type. And then if it's a really simple table like the one that we're using, in this case, it's really, oh, this is not the right one, sorry. It is this one, where it's really just one table on a page. And if you would inspect, you would see that it is an HTML table. Then you can easily make use of this import HTML feature. So yeah, we can see here it is a table. There are also more advanced scraping techniques, but I'm just going to use this very straightforward one as it's simple and easy and fun. So what I have to do is I'm just going to grab this formula from my notes. So it's basically import HTML, the link you want to scrape a table from, and then the HTML element you want to scrape. So in this case, table. Again, useful if you know a little bit of HTML, in which case I can recommend the sheet, the help doc that I recommended earlier, but it's not a necessity to do it like this. I just thought it would be a helpful trick to know about. So now all I had to do is type in that formula, and it automatically scrapes the table from that page. And now as a next step, I want to bring this into Flourish. So I'm just going to give this a quick name. And go back to my slides. I've also added some more links for if you're interested in scraping and want to learn more about the different options, because I'm not going to go into it in more depth since it's just a tea break and we kind of rush through lots of things and show you lots of things. So in our next step, we want to pull this data into Flourish. We have it in our Google Sheet now, but we want to get it into Flourish. So I'm going to open a new, tab, Flourish.studio, and create a new visualization. And as we want to create a stacked bar chart, I'm just going to select my stacked bar chart from the starting points. And in the data tab, you can either now paste in the data. So you could just grab it here, copy, paste it in. You could download this and upload it, drag it in, or click this button. Or, and this is the feature that I wanted to showcase today, you can import it from a URL. So from a publicly readable CSV file, that means that anyone will be able to access this. And you can collaborate with colleagues in this Google Sheet, and then you can all use the same. This is a feature that's available only on our Newsrooms, Business Pro, and Enterprise plans. So if you're not on one of those plans, you will not see that option and you'll have to import it otherwise. But if you would like to have this on your plan, then you can get in touch with our sales team or learn more about our Newsrooms program. So we have this comma separated values. We just went to publish to the web and now we're publishing it as a CSV. It asks us, are you sure you want to publish? Then we can just grab that link that it generates for us. And in Flourish, we can say import from URL and enter our URL. And now we are getting that data. Now we can see our preview area down here has updated. We're pulling through our data and this has been grayed out. And now the next step is that we want to make sure that our column selection is correct. So we have labels time in our first column. Oh, it looks like I'm actually scraping the athletes instead of the countries in this case. I might just jump into the example that I created and pick it up from there because I don't want to lose too much time by redoing that whole thing. But I'm just going to jump into here because this is basically from where we're going to pick it up. And here we have exactly the same, except now we have the countries and not the athletes, which was my mistake. So then you want to make sure that your column selection is correct. We have labels in column A, then we have values in column C to E. So that's the three things we're visualizing in our stacked bar. And then if we want, we can add a filter, which in this case we've set to be the country names again, just in a shortened version so that the filter doesn't become very wide. And that's that. Once you've selected those things, by the way, I just applied a theme. That's why it looks like that. If I remove that theme, it will go back to looking like the default. But this is a really nice way to easily get the look you're going for. Now I'm going to walk you through the different steps that I kind of took to make this visual look like that. So when you select that you want a row filter from default, you can then go into the controls and filter settings, and you can just make sure that you've ticked this include all here, because by default, it will always show one at a time instead of all of them. So once you've selected that, then you get that option again to select all, and then that's a good kind of overview starting point. I believe in this case, the bars were also upside down. So we had kind of the first row is always displayed at the bottom. So you might want to change that or sort your data by using our chart type sort mode settings here. So if I just click this button, then we can see kind of it goes from lowest to highest. And here we go from highest to lowest. So in this case, I think that makes the most sense because we want to see at first glance who is the highest, with the country with the most medals in the past. And then finally, we also made use of color overrides and labels to achieve the way that it looks in this example. So if I go to colors, we can see here, I've just set gold to be gold, silver to be silver, and then bronze didn't have a kind of word color associated with it. So you can just Google bronze and copy the hex code and input it there. If I remove one of these, it will just choose the first or the third color, in this case, from the palette. So you could also approach it like that you actually edit the palette. But I'm just going to work with color overrides in this example. Oops, no, I can't get it back. There we go. And finally, the labels. If I go to the label settings, I believe by default, these are always turned off. So I'm just going to go back to the default, which is don't show labels on points. But in this case, I find it very helpful because I want to know at one glance how many metals did we have in the states that looked of a certain type. And then you can choose from lots of different settings in terms of alignment and coloring and text size and lots more. So those are a few of the settings that you can apply in our Landbar Pi template. In this case, you might also want, so as soon as you might want to make changes to the data, you can either do that back in your Google Sheet. So I could now maybe edit this. I mean, oh, that doesn't work, never mind. Or you can say, I'm just going to duplicate this in case I want to come back to it. You can say unlink data, and then it will just unlink the data. Oh, sorry, it unlinks the data whenever I duplicate. So I'll just go back to the initial. If you click this button here, unlink and keep current data, it will just keep what you have at the moment. And then you can also edit it. So that might be useful if you don't want more than the top 50, for example, or the top 10. Okay, I hope that made sense. I'm going to move on with another chart created with the same sheet. So I'm just going to copy this link and go back to my slides, because the next one will be a table, because the table is extremely useful, I think, especially in an Olympics use case, because it has so many different ways to be used. So in this case, we're using it for exactly the same thing. We're just showing the medals with a little chart and a little flag. But you can also use it to create things like a schedule. I'm just going to open that one. So this is done by one of our customers, Universo Online, and they created this nice table. So you can do custom overrides also with the coloring. You can add images, you can add emojis, you can have a search. So that's a really nice example. And another example by the same customer, quite similar approach, but in this case, it's kind of just a list of the different people that are competing in a certain area. So to create your own table, we can head back to our editor and click New Visualization. And then under Table, we have it here. We can now import the exact same live CSV, or again, we can just paste it in however you wish to approach this, or however is possible for you. I'm just going to use the live CSV because I find it very useful that I can use the same sheet for multiple things. And then when we head over to our preview, we can see what it looks like. So it's okay, not great yet, but let's just do some quick changes and we can see how this really becomes a very powerful, useful template. So the first thing I want to show you is how to create mini bar charts in your table. We have this mini bar chart setting here where you can enter names of columns and then it will combine those columns into a mini bar chart or column chart. So you can just type the names of the columns. So I'm going to take these 3 columns and I want to create a chart with them. And I'm going to name that Olympic medals. And now we get this beautiful little chart within a column of our table. Oh, what did I just open? Sorry about that. And you can also choose between different bar types. You can also use color overrides and palettes, etc. So I'm just going to change one thing there for now. And then what else did I change in my table? One sec. Yes, I uploaded images. I'll just quickly show you another kind of uploading data feature. In this case, I'm actually going to unlink and keep the current data to demo that. If I say upload data and merge, you can now select a file that you want to upload. Oh dear, now you'll see my messy working area. I have this CSV file called country flags, and it's a sheet containing URLs of countries, country flags, image URLs. And now if I merge this in, that lets me match up my current sheet with the sheet that I'm importing. So this looks good because both contain country names. And if I merge those, now I can see I've imported an image URL where there was a match. And that image is now automatically rendered in my table. So you can use that for flags. And I've included the link to that example that I just used with the URLs. And if there's anything ever missing, you can also just upload your own or paste a URL in. So I'm just going to show you an example of that. United States flag image URL. Of course, you can't just copy any URL. Normally, you have to make sure that you have the rights to, but since this is a flag and they are in the public domain, I feel fine grabbing that. But you can also always upload your own file by right-clicking in a cell and selecting upload and then selecting a file from your computer. So that's the table. Another good thing about the table is that the search is really fast and really advanced. You can kind of customize. Do you want to search exactly, or do you want to search by just one character, etc.? And another thing that I really like about the table is that you can customize kind of how many rows are displayed at once. So maybe I want just the top 5 to display by default, but then when I embed this, the users still have the option to kind of go further if they want to. So yeah, and the last thing I wanted to show is that you can also change the sizing of the images. So you can do that here in the cell style, image style settings. And this is also where you would use the cells to color settings if you wanted to color a certain cell in a certain way based on its content. So that's the table. Moving on, I'm realizing that I'm a bit slow, so I might overrun slightly. I apologize. You can obviously drop off whenever and just watch the recording or not. Okay, so the next one I wanted to show is a bar chart race, a very popular template, very engaging. A lot of people think of Flourish and think of a bar chart race. Obviously, we have lots of other templates as well, but of course, I wanted to show a bar chart race, especially as there is a nice example in this case that we can see here. Here we have different bars racing based on the number of medals that they have kind of accumulated over the years in the different games. So if I open this one, we can see that, oh, that is the wrong link. Sorry, I'm just going to jump into my editor and grab it here in my folder. There we go. Our bar chart race is, look, the data tab looks like this. So you will want to make sure that you have a column for each row of data. So this is what we call a wide data format. And what's also important in this case is that your data is cumulative. So for example, in Austria here, we have 11 awards won in 1896, and then it's 17 in 1900. So that just means that there were 6 won in 1900, and then they're added to the previous number. So it's like a running total. If you have just the absolute values for each year, the bars kind of jump back and forth. In that case, it might be a better idea to use a line chart race, which we also have in our arsenal of chart types. You can find it. Where can you find it? Line chart race. There we go. So this one works better with kind of absolute values because you can see the shape of the data going up and down, whereas the bar chart really should be cumulative because you don't want it just jumping up and down all the time. So just to quickly point that one out. But if we go back to our bar chart race, just to walk you through a few other settings that you can make use of in this template. This one. You can also change it from horizontal to vertical, for example. You can change the animation speed. If I go into timeline and animation, you can slow that right down. If you go to the timeline duration, let's say I want it to be a bit slower, then I can slow it down to 100. I believe this is in seconds. Yeah. And here again, you can make use of lots of different coloring settings. So either giving each bar a color of its own or coloring by category, in this case, region. And as you can already see there, the category will automatically turn into a filter. So I can filter out certain categories to just focus on maybe North America, if I wanted that. And in the data tab, it looks like this. The categories are just one of the columns, and then you can bind them like that. And the image, which I also just merged in, like the others, you can, in this case, I have it in the last column. you can just update that there. Okay, moving on. In my being late, I apologize again. I'm going to race through the rest. Our cards template is a great template for creating a carousel or grid of cards to visualize blocks of content. So you can do things like we've done here with athlete profiles. You can have panels, filtering, custom HTML, and hover effects. So if we look at this example, I just did a random Swiss mountain biking example, just to show some of the features. I'm just going to jump into the editor here. If we look at the data tab, we have a row for each athlete with an image and a description and a link. And then we have a filter where we're filtering by category. So in this case, we have men's and women's cross country. You can then also choose between different filtering options under the control settings. So for example, maybe buttons instead of a drop down. I apologize for the noise. I'm just going to close the door here. I have some people building things always. Okay. And then we can also make use of panels, which is a new feature where if you click on a card, you can actually display certain content. So you can find that under pop-ups and panels. If you go to panel, and then you can customize that content as well, and also make use of custom HTML. And you can also choose from a grid view here. So this is really an extremely versatile template. You could also use this for kind of keeping track of scores of certain countries and color them differently. There's really lots and lots of options. And I also wanted to show that one other option that you can achieve with custom HTML. This is one that we're creating for kind of the EU football coverage, where if you hover over one of the cards, you can see kind of how many yellow and red cards one of the players received. And this is also done with custom HTML. And we have a help doc on that as well that you can access via the slides. Okay, then, what's next? We have our draw the line template. So this is the one that I mentioned at the beginning, that it is a premium template. I will just show you what it can do. Here in my Olympics folder, I have my draw the line viz, and so this is only accessible to our enterprise customers. If you can't access this template and you are an enterprise customer, please get in touch with us and we will sort that for you and share the link. But basically what it lets you do is it lets you input a time series, which you can see here. We have a date and we have some values. In this case, I'm just visualizing the total cases in Japan, as that is kind of always fits in with the narrative around the Olympics as well, of COVID cases. But you could also, of course, do something like guess the kind of how the record for jumping was beat in certain gears, etc. But anyway, you get the idea. You can then allow your users to draw the line. They can say, I've drawn the line, I'm done, and then it kind of fills in the actual result. And you can also configure the different responses based on their answers. So for example, here you can configure a great guess or well done, or whichever you would like. As I mentioned, premium template. We have a few other premium templates as well. I'm not going to show any more right now, but do get in touch if you are an enterprise customer and would like to learn more about them. Okay, and finally, I think this is almost my last slide. I would like to give you a little sneak peek of one of our templates, which is coming soon. We're just polishing the last kind of final bits, which is a pictogram template, which will allow you to create isotype charts or also waffle type charts. You can choose from lots of different options. Let me just jump back into Flourish over here and show you my pictogram example. So you can choose between kind of vertical and horizontal. You can choose if you want filler icons or not. And of course, you can choose between lots of different icons, and you can even upload your own. So this is a really popular chart type that is kind of a more playful and engaging way of visualizing data that could also be shown in a bar chart, but it is kind of more accessible and fun, I would say, in a lot of cases. This one is coming very soon. In fact, we're even going to be doing our next webinar on it. So do attend that one to learn all about the Pictogram template. But I just wanted to mention that's coming soon. And again, we are offering our enterprise customers to already have a play with it. So if you are interested, please let us know. And finally, last slide, I've added some more inspiration that I couldn't really fit in the slides because, as we already noticed, I overran by quite a bit, but I found some really nice other examples that I've linked here. For example, a heat map. We also have a heat map template which you can make use of. I found this really nice resizing of Olympic rings based on different topics. So for example, here, people living with HIV and then switching to gun ownership or something, and just this playful way of using the rings. And I'm pretty sure that this should be possible with our scatter template. I'm gonna give it a go after the webinar. And finally, a stream graph by the New York Times, kind of sizing the streams by the number of medals won in the Olympics over the years, and where there are no streams, that's kind of where there were no Olympics because of wars, etc. We also have a stream graph template in Flourish, and we have linked all the starting points there. So do have a go at all of the things that we've mentioned here and more, and let us know what you create. We can't wait to see it. And that brings me to the final slide where I say thank you for joining us. And our next webinar will be on July 6th. So I said bi-weekly, which is normally true, but because it's summer and we're supposed to have a little Flourish retreat, the next one will be on July 6th. But yeah, please do join along and let us know how you get on. Thank you so much.